The laughter hit harder than the words. In the middle of a glittering Dallas ballroom, Savannah Bennett lifted her glass, her diamond earrings catching the light as she sneered across the crowd. "My husband," she said, her voice slicing through the music. "He's broke. Lost his job last month. I'm practically feeding him now." People gasped, half in shock, half in amusement. Cameras flashed. At the edge of the room, Noah Bennett stood frozen. The man she mocked, the husband she once called her hero. Her sympathetic companion, Trent Lawson, smirked beside her, his hand brushing her waist. And the whole room knew the woman had traded her husband for his manager. Noah didn't shout, didn't move. He just looked at her, once, with calm eyes that hid a secret deeper than anyone in that ballroom could imagine. Because what Savannah didn't know was this: the man she just called poor owned the very company her new lover worked for. And tonight's humiliation was the first note of her downfall. The ballroom shimmered with golden light, champagne laughter, and expensive perfume. Dallas's elite floated across the floor in tuxedos and glittering gowns, while a jazz band played softly in the background. Noah stood near the bar in a plain navy suit that suddenly looked too ordinary for the crowd. His tie was slightly loose, his eyes quiet but observant. The kind of man who'd learned to hide storms behind polite smiles. Across the room, his wife Savannah glowed in an emerald gown, holding a flute of champagne, laughing again with Trent Lawson, his own manager at work. The party was meant to celebrate the company's quarterly success, but tonight, it was about something else. "Savannah, come take a picture with your husband," a woman teased. Savannah glanced over, then rolled her eyes. "Oh, please," she said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear, her lips curling. "He doesn't fit in this crowd anymore. My husband can't even afford my lipstick these days." The laughter that followed hit Noah harder than any punch. The room went still for a split second, then filled with whispers. Trent smirked and placed a gentle hand on Savannah's back, pretending to comfort her. "Easy, Savannah," he said with a half smile. "You don't need to say all that." But she wasn't done. She tilted her chin, glass in hand. "Maybe I should have married a man with ambition. At least some people in this room still have jobs." Noah's throat tightened. He didn't shout, didn't defend himself. He just looked at her, long enough for her to notice the pain she'd caused, and quietly walked out of the ballroom. The camera of life followed him as he stepped into the parking lot, the sound of distant laughter echoing behind him. His reflection in the glass doors looked like that of a man who'd lost everything, except his composure. Outside, the wind brushed his face. He exhaled, then pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Ray," he said, his tone low but firm. "Yeah, boss? It's time. I want you to follow them, both of them, starting tonight." He hung up. His face didn't show anger, just cold determination, the kind of silence that always comes before a storm. As he started his car, the jazz music from inside drifted faintly through the closed doors. Savannah's laughter still the loudest sound in the night. The next morning, sunlight crept through the blinds of their quiet Dallas apartment. The tension from the night before still hung in the air like stale perfume. Savannah moved through the room in a silk robe, humming as if nothing had happened. Noah sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, still wearing the same clothes from the party. The bruises weren't on his body, they were in his chest. "You slept here?" she asked casually, picking up her phone. "Could have gone to the couch." He looked up, his tone calm but tired. "Savannah, last night was too much. In front of everyone?" She smirked, scrolling through her messages. "Oh, please, Noah. Stop acting like a victim. You've been unemployed for months. You embarrassed yourself long before I said anything." He stood, his voice steady. "I left that job for reasons you'll never understand, but I didn't stop working." She laughed bitterly. "What, you're building another dream company in your head? Noah, I married you for love, not pity, but love doesn't pay bills." Her phone buzzed. Trent's name flashed across the screen. She smiled and quickly turned it away from his view. "You see? Some people actually know how to make things happen." He stared at her, really stared, the way a man does when something inside him finally breaks and reforms into steel. "Are you having an affair with him?" he asked quietly. Her smirk faltered for a second, but she recovered fast. Don't start this again. Trent actually respects me. He doesn't live in excuses. Noah's silence said everything. He turned, picked up his jacket, and reached for his keys. You're walking away? Again, she called after him. He stopped at the door, looked back once, and said in a low voice, No, Savannah, you did. The door clicked shut behind him. Later that evening, Savannah sat at her vanity, applying lipstick when she heard a knock. She opened the door, and there he was, Trent Lawson, wearing a confident smile and holding a bouquet of lilies. You sure this is okay? He asked, pretending to hesitate. She grinned and stepped aside. Noah's gone. He'll figure it out sooner or later. Trent walked in, his eyes scanning the apartment. Nice place. Shame he can't afford it anymore. Savannah laughed, her tone dripping with pride. Not for long. I'm moving out next week, maybe into your condo. Trent placed the flowers on the counter, stepping closer. That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. As they kissed, outside the window, a black SUV sat quietly across the street. Ray Torres watched through his lens, camera clicking, every movement captured. He lowered his camera and dialed a number. Boss, you were right. She's not wasting time. Noah's voice on the other end was calm, cold. Good, keep watching. I don't want them to know I know. Ray glanced back at the window. You sure you want to see all this? Noah's reply was almost a whisper. I need to see it, to end it right. Ray nodded, watching Savannah laugh as Trent poured her wine. You got it, boss. Starting tonight. Inside the apartment, Savannah leaned against Trent's chest, her laughter echoing softly. Noah was holding me back. You make me feel alive. Trent smiled, kissing her neck. Oh, trust me. Savannah, I'm just getting started. She didn't know that a camera had caught every word. She didn't know her new man worked for the husband she just betrayed. And she definitely didn't know. Noah Bennett never lost his job. He just lost his patience. 3 weeks later, the Bennett's apartment sat half empty. Boxes lined the hallway, the air heavy with the silence that follows betrayal. Savannah had finally moved out, and she did it without a backward glance. Her boutique business had been shut for renovation, though everyone in her circle knew she'd moved into Trent Lawson's luxury condo downtown. The same man who used to report to her husband now whispered in her ear every night. Noah Bennett hadn't called her once. Not a text, not a question, nothing. He just disappeared from her world completely, and that's what unsettled her the most. Meanwhile, in a private office overlooking the Dallas skyline, Noah stood behind tinted glass, calm and unreadable. His dark blue shirt sleeves were rolled up. No trace of the jobless husband image she had mocked weeks earlier. Across the table sat Claire Donovan, his longtime lawyer and closest confidant. She adjusted her glasses, flipping through a folder. You're being very patient, Noah. But patience isn't silence. What's your endgame? Noah's voice was steady. I don't react in anger, Claire. I act with proof. He handed her a brown envelope. Photos Ray Torres had taken. Savannah and Trent at restaurants. Trent's hand around her waist. Savannah entering his condo late at night, and one where she was laughing in a bathrobe. Wine glass in hand. Claire studied the photos. You sure you want this documented? It's brutal. Noah leaned back. Every detail, every expense, every place they've gone on my company's funds. She looked up sharply. Wait, your company's funds? He nodded. Trent's been signing off expenses under regional logistics accounts, lavish dinners, personal transfers, hotel charges. Ray traced the trail. Every cent came from our firm. Claire exhaled slowly. That's corporate fraud, Noah. You can bury him legally. Noah's expression didn't change. Not yet. Let them swim deeper. Down the street, inside Trent's sleek penthouse, Savannah twirled in a new designer dress. She admired herself in the mirror. Do you like it? She asked playfully. Trent looked up from his laptop, smiling. You look amazing. You always do. She smiled. I was thinking we should take a trip. Maybe Aspen or Vegas. I could use a break. Trent's smile wavered. Things are a bit tight right now. The company's been freezing a few accounts for audit. Savannah frowned. Audit? Since when? He shut the laptop quickly. It's nothing serious, just paperwork. Don't worry about it. She rolled her eyes. I left a man who couldn't pay rent, Trent. Don't start sounding like him. He forced a laugh, kissed her forehead. Relax, babe. You're with the right man. I got this. But when Savannah turned away, his jaw tightened. On his screen was an email stamped, Internal Audit Alert, Suspicious Expenses Logged. That night, Savannah posted a smiling selfie from Trent's balcony with the caption, New beginnings, new blessings. The comments flooded in. Hearts, fire emojis, envy. None of them knew the truth. The ground beneath her new life was cracking, quietly. Meanwhile, Noah watched her post from his office, the glow of his phone reflecting in his eyes. He zoomed in on the image, not to admire her, but to study the reflection behind her. The skyline in that glass matched Trent's condo tower. He smiled faintly, then picked up his phone. Ray, yes, boss. Pull every transaction linked to Trent Lawson in the last 6 months. I want full statements, and I want them tonight. Got it. Noah ended the call and leaned against the window, the city lights reflecting across his calm face. To the world, he was still the husband she humiliated, but in reality, he was the man who owned the very building she was living in. And soon she'd realize that. By the 4th week, the sparkle in Savannah's new life began to dull. What started as champagne mornings and rooftop dinners had turned into whispered arguments and unanswered calls. One evening, she stood in the kitchen of Trent Lawson's penthouse, her tone sharp. Trent, my card just got declined at Bloomingdale's. 3 times. Trent barely looked up from his phone. That's weird. Maybe the system's down. System's down? She repeated, raising a brow. I've been using that card for months. He sighed, setting his phone aside. Look, there's been some confusion in accounts. Internal audit, company crap. They froze a few corporate cards temporarily. Savannah's voice grew colder. Corporate cards? Trent, why am I even using a corporate card? He hesitated for half a second. It's just easier for expenses, babe. It's all the same money. Relax. Relax, she snapped. You told me you had everything under control. That company practically runs because of you. Trent forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Yeah, and I still do. I'll fix it. But deep inside, he was rattled, because 2 days earlier, his finance assistant had walked into his office looking pale. Sir, the headquarters has flagged your region for irregularities. They said the owner himself ordered a freeze. The owner? He'd asked, confused. Who the hell is that? We've never even met him. The assistant only shrugged. Apparently he's back. Now, as Savannah stormed into the bedroom, Trent's mind spun. Who was this owner? And why was everything suddenly collapsing? Across town, the real owner sat quietly in his office. Noah Bennett's desk was covered in reports, stacks of documents, transaction lists, and photographic evidence. Ray Torres leaned over, pointing to highlighted lines. See these? Hotel bookings, gift store payments, even jewelry purchases, all approved by Lawson using company money, some listed under client entertainment. But look here, dates match the photos of him with Savannah. Claire Donovan flipped through another set of files. It's textbook embezzlement. You can drag him through federal court if you want. Noah tapped his fingers lightly on the table. Not yet. Let's make sure the right people hear about it first. He picked up his phone and made a quiet call to the internal audit head. Activate the secondary freeze on Division West accounts. Keep it clean. No leaks. Understood, Mr. Bennett. When he hung up, Claire gave him a curious look. You're not angry anymore, are you? He smiled faintly. No, I'm surgical now. Later that evening, Savannah tried booking dinner at their favorite rooftop restaurant. The hostess's polite smile faded after a moment at her screen. I'm sorry, ma'am. The reservation linked to Mr. Lawson's account has been canceled due to outstanding payments. Savannah blinked. What? That's impossible. Trent arrived minutes later, whispering harshly. What are you doing making a scene? Your card's useless, your accounts are useless, your company's auditing you. What the hell is going on? She hissed. He forced a laugh for the watching guests. We'll sort it out privately. Then he pulled her arm, dragging her toward the parking lot. Outside, she yanked free. You promised me better than Noah. You said you'd take care of me. Trent's patience snapped. Maybe if you stopped spending like a senator's wife, we'd still be fine. Her face hardened. You're no different from him. At least Noah didn't pretend. For the first time, silence fell between them. Cold, bitter silence. From across the street, Ray watched through his camera lens as Trent walked ahead, leaving Savannah behind under the restaurant's neon light. Her eyes glistened. Fury and fear mingled together. Ray lifted his phone. Boss, they're cracking. Noah's voice came through, calm as ever. Good. Let them fight each other. Next, we'll expose what they've built this relationship on. Lies. Ray smiled. You want me to send the reports to legal? Noah leaned back, looking out at the city skyline. No, not yet. Send them to the board. As he hung up, the faintest trace of a smile curved his lips. In every empire, there's always a reckoning, and for Savannah and Trent, it had just begun. Dallas mornings used to be Savannah Bennett's favorite. Sunlight on marble floors, the smell of imported coffee, the quiet satisfaction of being above everyone she once knew. But lately, mornings felt heavier. Her phone buzzed endlessly, not with compliments or party invites, but with whispers, screenshots, and silence. At first, it was subtle. A friend canceled brunch. Another stopped returning calls. Then came the online gossip. Did you hear Savannah left her husband for his manager? Trent Lawson's under investigation. She picked the wrong man. Her boutique closed because she couldn't pay staff. By the fifth day, her name was trending on social media, not as an influencer, but as a cautionary tale. She stood in front of the mirror, scrolling through hateful comments, her hand trembling. They're lying, she muttered. They don't know anything. Trent walked into the bedroom, shirt half buttoned, phone glued to his ear. Yeah, I told you, I'm handling it, he snapped before ending the call. Savannah turned sharply. Handling what, Trent? He rubbed his temple. The board. Someone leaked the audit reports. They know about the expenses. Expenses? She repeated, panic rising. You mean us? He didn't answer. And that silence told her everything. Her breath caught. Trent, tell me you didn't use company money. Relax, he cut in. Everyone does it. Business dinners, trips. You used it on me, she yelled, her voice cracking. Trent, do you realize how bad that looks? He snapped. Don't start acting innocent now. You love the gifts, the trips, the designer clothes. What did you think paid for it? Fairy dust. She stepped back, stunned. So that's it? You ruined my life, and now you're turning on me? Before he could respond, her phone buzzed again. A new message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. Everything you've built is about to collapse. N. She froze. Noah, she whispered. Across the city, in his office, Noah watched through tinted glass as Claire Donovan and Ray Torres laid out a series of sealed folders. The board has suspended Trent, Claire said. They want a full meeting tomorrow. It's time. Ray added, and the private lab sent the results you asked for. DNA test confirms both kids, Ethan and Chloe, are not Noah Bennett's. The room went quiet. Noah didn't blink. He just stared at the report, the words confirming what his heart had already accepted weeks ago. Claire spoke softly. You want to use this now? He nodded once. Not in anger, in precision. Later that night, Savannah scrolled through her phone again, tears threatening to spill. She opened her gallery, hundreds of photos with Trent, fake smiles and luxury backdrops. None of it felt real anymore. The intercom buzzed. Ms. Bennett, there's someone here to see you, the doorman's voice said. Who? She asked, confused. A courier, says it's urgent. Minutes later, a young man handed her a white envelope. She opened it, expecting another legal threat. But what she saw made her knees buckle. DNA report, Ethan Bennett, not the biological child of Noah Bennett. Chloe Bennett, not the biological child of Noah Bennett. Her lips trembled. No, this can't be real. She sank to the floor, clutching the papers, memories flooding back. Every lie, every night she told Noah the kids were his, every time he held them, proud and unsuspecting. Trent walked in, seeing her shaking. "Savannah, what happened?" She looked up slowly, eyes red. "Noah knows." Trent froze. "Knows what?" She tossed the papers at him. "Everything." For a moment, he just stared. Then his phone buzzed. A notification from the company board. "Emergency board meeting tomorrow. Attendance mandatory." He dropped the phone on the couch, panic creeping into his voice. "He's coming for me." Savannah looked at him, tears streaking her makeup. "He's coming for us." Outside, rain began to fall, streaking the glass walls of the condo, a quiet echo of everything washing away. Across town, Noah stood in his driveway under the same rain, looking up at the night sky. His calm face reflected the storm above him. "Claire," he said into his phone, "make sure the boardroom is ready. Tomorrow, I stop pretending." The next morning, Dallas woke up to thunder. The storm clouds rolled across the city as though the heavens themselves were preparing for a reckoning. At Lawson Freight and Logistics headquarters, tension hung thick in the air. Executives in gray suits whispered nervously as they filled the massive glass-walled boardroom. At the head of the long oak table sat Chairman Douglas, clearing his throat, glancing at the vacant seat meant for the mysterious owner. Trent Lawson walked in wearing a navy suit that looked more expensive than his confidence. He forced a smile. "Morning, everyone," he said, though no one met his eye. Savannah followed behind, dressed in a beige designer gown, makeup flawless, but her hands trembling as she clutched her purse. She shouldn't have come, she knew that, but she couldn't bear to stay home waiting for bad news to find her. The door opened again. Silence fell. Noah Bennett stepped in, calm, controlled, dressed in a charcoal-tailored suit that seemed to command gravity itself. His eyes swept across the room, briefly meeting Savannah's, and she froze. For the first time in her life, she didn't see the humble man she'd mocked. She saw authority, power, the truth she'd been blind to. Trent stood slowly. Mr. Bennett," he said cautiously. "This is a private—" Chairman Douglas cut him off. "Sit down, Mr. Lawson." Trent hesitated. "Excuse me?" "Sit down." The chairman turned to Noah. "Mr. Bennett, thank you for coming. The board's ready." Savannah's lips parted. "Mr. Bennett." Noah nodded, his voice calm but deep. "Let's begin." Claire Donovan entered moments later, setting a stack of folders in front of each board member. "These are the results of the internal audit," she said crisply, "signed by the owner himself." Savannah blinked. "Wait, the owner?" she whispered to Trent. "I thought the company was owned by investors." Trent's jaw clenched. "That's what I was told." Claire continued. "Over the last 8 months, large sums were embezzled through corporate accounts, unauthorized expenses, falsified invoices, and misuse of company funds, all traced back to one department head." She flipped a page. "Regional Logistics Manager, Trent Lawson." Gasps filled the room. Trent shot to his feet. "That's absurd. I demand to see." Noah raised a hand. The room fell quiet instantly. He walked slowly toward the screen as the projector flickered on. Images appeared. Photos of Trent and Savannah in restaurants, hotels, and private suites. Dates matched company transactions. Receipts displayed beneath each image. Every picture was a nail in their coffin. Noah turned to face the board. "The funds used to sustain this relationship were taken directly from our corporate accounts. Personal luxuries disguised as business expenses, vacations labeled as client meetings, jewelry as equipment maintenance." He paused, his gaze finally settling on Trent. "Mr. Lawson, you didn't just betray this company. You betrayed your superior." Trent scoffed weakly. "Superior? You were a supervisor. You had no—" Noah stepped closer, his tone low and firm. "I am the company." The boardroom erupted in stunned whispers. Savannah's eyes widened, her hand flying to her mouth. "You? What?" He looked at her now, the woman who'd called him poor, who'd laughed at him in public. "I own Lawson Freight and Logistics," he said evenly. "Every building, every truck, every account. I founded it under a holding group 5 years before you met me. I just preferred to live like a man, not a title. Her voice cracked. You lied to me. He didn't flinch. No, Savannah. I just never corrected your assumptions. The chairman cleared his throat. Mr. Bennett, the board has voted to terminate Mr. Lawson immediately. We've also referred his records to the legal department. Trent's face went pale. You can't do this. You... Security entered quietly. 2 men in suits approached him. Sir, you need to come with us. Trent looked at Savannah desperately. Say something. Savannah, tell them. But Savannah couldn't speak. Her lipstick quivered. The reality hit her like a bullet. She'd left her husband for his employee. She'd traded a king for a pawn. As Trent was escorted out, he shouted, This isn't over. Noah remained still. For you it is. When the doors closed, Noah turned to the board. Thank you for your time. My legal counsel will handle the filings. He walked toward the exit. Savannah reached out, trembling. Noah, please. He stopped just short of her, his voice quiet but sharp as glass. You humiliated me in front of strangers for losing a job I didn't need. You left me for a man who worked for me. You lied about my children for years. Her eyes welled up. I didn't mean... He cut her off. You meant every word. You just didn't expect the consequences. She reached out again, whispering, Noah, please. I'm sorry. He stepped back. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to the mirror when you see what greed really cost you. And with that, he walked out, leaving Savannah standing alone in the boardroom, surrounded by silence and shame. Outside, cameras flashed as reporters shouted questions. Noah ignored them, sliding into his black Range Rover, Claire beside him. As they drove off, Claire glanced at him. You handled that like a surgeon? He looked straight ahead, expression unreadable. It's only the beginning. A week later, the headlines in Dallas screamed of scandal. CEO exposes wife's affair with manager. Corporate fraud investigation unfolds. Socialite Savannah Bennett faces lawsuit amid DNA shock. Reporters camped outside the courthouse, cameras flashing every time a black car pulled up. Inside, the tension could be sliced with a blade. Savannah sat at the defendant's table, her hair pulled into a tight bun, her once radiant face pale under courtroom lights. Trent sat beside her, his expensive suit doing little to hide the sweat on his forehead. His charm had evaporated, replaced by fear. At the plaintiff's table, Noah Bennett sat calm, collected, immaculately dressed in a dark tailored suit. Beside him was Claire Donovan, flipping through legal files with surgical precision. Judge Harris entered. Court is now in session. Claire rose. Your Honor, we are here to prove not just adultery, but willful embezzlement and moral fraud against my client, Mr. Noah Bennett. Savannah swallowed hard. Trent's attorney objected, but the judge waved it off. Proceed, Ms. Donovan. Claire pressed a button, and the screen behind her came to life, displaying transaction records, bank statements, and images. The defendants, she said, used corporate funds belonging to Lawson Freight and Logistics to finance a personal affair. These include jewelry purchases, vacations, and private suite bookings, all approved by Mr. Lawson under the false pretense of business expenses. Trent jumped to his feet. Those were legitimate trips. Claire turned slowly. Then perhaps you can explain why the company paid for a couple's spa retreat in Maui under client wellness outreach, featuring Miss Bracer. Savannah Bennett? Laughter rippled through the courtroom. The judge banged his gavel. Order! Savannah buried her face in her hands. Claire continued mercilessly. Beyond the financial deceit, there's also paternity fraud. My client raised 2 children for 8 years. Children he believed to be his own. Until this report. She handed the judge a sealed envelope. Savannah's breath caught. No, she whispered. The judge opened it, scanning the pages. The silence was suffocating. Judge Harris looked up slowly. According to the DNA results, Ethan Bennett and Chloe Bennett are not the biological children of Mr. Noah Bennett. Gasps erupted in the courtroom. Cameras clicked wildly. Noah didn't flinch. He simply sat there, expression calm, but his eyes burned. The judge's voice dropped. Mrs. Bennett, do you wish to contest these results? Savannah's voice cracked. No, Your Honor. Trent stared at her in shock. You told me, don't you dare, she snapped, tears spilling. You said he'd never find out. Claire folded her arms. Ladies and gentlemen, deceit this deep cannot go unpunished. We are seeking full custody termination, return of all embezzled funds, and moral damages. Trent's lawyer tried to regain footing. Your Honor, Mr. Lawson was misled by emotional manipulation. Mr. Lawson was an executive, Claire shot back. He knew exactly what he was doing, stealing from a man whose paycheck he once signed. Noah finally rose, his voice quiet but commanding. I built everything from scratch, every truck, every contract, every dollar. I loved that woman, I trusted that man, and I raised children that weren't mine. All they had to do was be honest, but instead they chose greed. He turned toward Savannah, his eyes unblinking. You once called me poor, but today I stand richer than I've ever been. Not in money, but in peace. The courtroom went still. Judge Harris leaned back. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Mr. Noah Bennett. Full damages awarded. Custody rights revoked. Divorce finalized effective immediately. Savannah let out a broken sob. Trent slammed his hands on the table. This is insane. He set us up. Noah turned to him, voice steady. You set yourself up the moment you touched what was mine. Security moved forward as the judge exited. Savannah tried to stand, but her knees buckled. Noah, please, please don't leave me like this. He paused briefly, just long enough for their eyes to meet. You left me long before today. Then he walked out, cameras flashing as the crowd parted around him like water around a stone. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Claire shielded him as they headed for the car. That was brutal, Noah. You okay? He looked ahead unshaken. This wasn't revenge. It was closure. Behind them, the courthouse doors opened again. Savannah stumbled out under a gray sky, rain beginning to fall, her makeup streaked, her expensive gown soaked through. Trent followed, shouting at his lawyer, his own future collapsing. And as Noah's black Range Rover pulled away, Savannah fell to her knees on the courthouse steps. Surrounded by flashing cameras, her humiliation complete. The storm that began in court swept straight into the lives of Savannah and Trent. By the next morning, Dallas tabloids devoured the scandal like wolves. Ex-wife of CEO found guilty in $2.4 million fraud scandal. From mansion to Motel 6, Savannah Bennett's fall from grace. Savannah sat alone in a cheap motel room, staring at the faint stain on the ceiling as the hum of the air conditioner filled the silence. The diamond ring that once sparkled on her finger sat dull on the nightstand beside an empty coffee cup. Every call she made to old friends went unanswered. Her boutique's landlord had locked the doors. Her accounts, frozen. A knock sounded. She rushed to the door, half hoping it was Noah. It wasn't. 2 uniformed couriers stood outside. Ma'am, repossession notice. Vehicle and furnishings will be removed today. She tried to speak, but no words came. One of them gently handed her a folded document. Notice of property seizure, Lawson Freight Legal Division. Her hand shook. He's taking everything, she whispered. Across town, Trent Lawson was facing his own nightmare. Federal agents combed through his downtown condo, cataloging electronics and documents. His lawyer stood helpless as boxes of evidence were sealed. This is ridiculous, Trent barked. They can't. An agent cut him off calmly. Corporate embezzlement, falsified expense reports, and tax evasion, Mr. Lawson. You're under arrest. The click of handcuffs echoed. Cameras outside the building captured his fall in real time. At the headquarters of Lawson Freight and Logistics, a very different event was unfolding. The company's annual charity gala, once Trent's stage for vanity, was underway again. The theme this year, Integrity Rebuilt. Noah Bennett stepped onto the stage in a black tuxedo, calm and composed. The audience rose in applause, not for revenge but respect. He looked out over the hall, his voice steady. A year ago, this company was shaken by betrayal from within. We survive because truth doesn't crumble when lies fall. Tonight isn't about wealth. It's about rebuilding trust in business, in family, in ourselves. Behind him, a large screen displayed photos of new charity projects, scholarships, logistics training for veterans, food distribution trucks bearing the company logo. The audience cheered. From the back of the hall, Claire Donovan watched quietly, smiling. You really did it, Noah. You turned revenge into redemption. He smiled faintly. Justice is enough. Revenge ends when peace begins. Later that night, after the gala, Noah stepped outside into the cool air. The city lights shimmered across the skyline. Bright, clean, untouched by scandal. Across town, Savannah watched the televised gala on a flickering motel TV. Her reflection in the screen looked like a stranger. When Noah's speech ended, she reached out, touching his image softly. I'm sorry, she whispered through tears. I never saw who you really were. But Noah would never hear it, because at that very moment, he was walking into his car, phone buzzing. It was Ray Torres. Boss, Ray said, press is asking if you want to comment on Trent's sentencing. Noah paused, looking out the window at the dark skyline. No, let silence speak. It's louder. He ended the call, started the engine, and drove off into the night, leaving behind the ghosts of what once was. As the screen faded, Savannah sat motionless in her motel room, rain tapping against the window. She turned off the TV and whispered the same words she once used to wound him. You're poor. Then she laughed bitterly through tears. Except now, it's me. 6 months later, Dallas had moved on. The headlines had faded. The city's gossip found new prey, and the storm that once tore through Noah Bennett's life had finally quieted. Noah walked through the warehouse of Lawson Freight's new training center, a vast, bright space humming with energy. Young interns in company vests loaded trucks, supervisors trained new recruits, and a banner overhead read, Bennett Foundation, Building Better Futures. He stopped beside one of the trainees, a single father from Houston, helping him lift a box onto a pallet. You're doing good work, Noah said. Keep at it. The man smiled shyly. Thanks, sir. Didn't think someone like me could get a shot like this. Noah nodded, eyes warm. Sometimes people just need one honest chance. As he walked out, Claire Donovan waited by the car, holding a stack of donation forms. Another successful program, she said. You've turned your pain into something powerful. He smiled faintly. Pain teaches discipline. Revenge only lasts a moment. Legacy lasts forever. Claire studied him for a beat. You ever think about love again? He chuckled softly. I'm learning to love peace first. She smirked. You know, that's the most Noah Bennett answer possible. He gave a small laugh, the kind of quiet, genuine sound that hadn't come from him in years. Across town, Savannah Bennett sat on a park bench in an old gray coat. The woman who once lived for champagne now sipped coffee from a paper cup. She volunteered part-time at a local shelter, cleaning, sorting clothes, staying invisible. She'd learned silence the hard way. One afternoon, she walked into a small grocery store. As she picked up a few essentials, she froze. A magazine on the counter showed Noah on the cover, smiling beside a group of children with the headline, Noah Bennett, the billionaire who forgave the world. Savannah's eyes filled instantly. She set the magazine back down gently, paid for her items, and stepped outside into the fading sunlight. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hope you're finding peace, N. She stared at it, lips trembling. After a long pause, she typed back, I don't deserve it. The reply came seconds later. Maybe not, but you need it. Savannah looked up at the sky, blinking away tears. For the first time in months, she breathed deeply, not with pride, but with acceptance. That night, she watched the city lights from her small apartment window, whispering softly, Thank you, Noah, for letting me live long enough to regret it. Meanwhile, Noah drove home under the same night sky. His house, once filled with memories of betrayal, now felt peaceful again. A photo of him with Claire and the charity kids sat on the mantel. He poured a glass of whiskey, stood by the window, and watched the city glow below. Peace, he murmured. Finally. The faint hum of the city echoed like a heartbeat, steady, strong, alive. And somewhere out there, a woman who once broke him was learning what it meant to be whole again, too. Spring returned to Dallas, bringing soft sunlight and a kind of calm that only comes after long storms. The city had already written a new story about Noah Bennett, not the man betrayed, but the man rebuilt. At the opening ceremony of the new Bennett Logistics Institute, guests filled the glass atrium, reporters flashing cameras as Noah cut the ribbon. The program would train small business owners across Texas, free of charge. Claire Donovan stepped beside him, clapping. "You've built more than a company now, Noah. You've built a legacy." He smiled quietly. "A clean start for those who need one." "Funny," she said. "You sound like someone who finally forgave." He looked out over the crowd. Young entrepreneurs, single parents, ex-employees who once doubted him. "I didn't forgive her to free her," he said softly. "I forgave her to free myself." Later that afternoon, Noah visited the city's outreach shelter, one funded anonymously by the Bennett Foundation. Inside, volunteers sorted supplies and served food. He stepped to the counter, watching as a familiar voice behind the serving line said gently, "Enjoy your meal, sir." Savannah. Her hair was tied back, her eyes softer, older, no makeup, no diamonds, just quiet humility. When she finally looked up, her spoon froze midair. "Noah?" she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Hi, Savannah." For a moment, neither spoke. The noise of the shelter faded to a quiet hum. She swallowed hard, tears already forming. "You shouldn't be here." "Why not?" he asked. "You're feeding people. That's good work." Her voice broke. "I'm not who I was." "I know," he said gently. "That's why I came." She looked down, unable to meet his gaze. "You could have destroyed me completely, Noah. Why didn't you?" He paused for a moment, eyes kind but firm. "Because I didn't want to become what hurt me. I wanted to stay who I was, even after you weren't who you used to be." Her tears fell freely now. "I'm sorry for everything, for the humiliation, the lies, the kids, all of it." He nodded slowly. "I know. The world already punished you. You don't need me to." Savannah pressed her trembling hand to her chest. "I lost everything, but for the first time, I think I finally found myself." Noah's eyes softened. "Good. Keep her safe this time." He turned to leave. She reached out, not to stop him, but just to feel the air he left behind. "Noah?" He stopped at the door. She smiled sadly. "You really were never poor." "Were you?" He turned halfway, light catching his face as he replied, calm and steady. "Only in the way you measured wealth." He walked out into the sunlight. Savannah watched him go, her tears blurring the brightness outside, a symbol of a past she couldn't undo, and a grace she'd never expected to receive. Outside, Noah put on his sunglasses, stepped into his car, and looked at the city skyline. Alive, vast, full of new beginnings. His voice echoed in his mind, the lesson of his story. Kindness isn't weakness. Silence isn't surrender. And sometimes revenge is simply rebuilding without them. The car drove off as the music swelled, a soft, hopeful instrumental under the Dallas sunset.